Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Your life is more out of balance because you had to make a change. But what if this change didn't necessarily mean that you were lost or truly even out of balance? What if this was divine guidance strongly nudging you in a definite direction, like a maze or a pinball game? And we are the pinball forcing you through those turns. Carolyn&Larry Roberts in San Antonio, Texas. How are you doing? Of course, I am Larry Locken on the west coast of the USA in Oregon, Pacific Northwest. And Carolyn, how are you on this fine, lovely afternoon? And how is everything down there in Texas?
Yeah, I woke up this morning and I'm blessed to be here and I'm blessed to be working with you, my friend, and anybody watching this and this now or any next now and anything else that unfolds from here. You know what? This moment's a
Uh-huh.
blessing. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering if I had the volume up all the way on this.
Do
I
you?
do. Okay. Oh, I do. Yeah, I do. I'm just paranoid about everything and anything.
Can you hear me? Am I good?
Yeah, kind of. TikTok can. Okay, everybody, we'd like to say hello to TikTok. We'd like to say hello to Twitch. We'd like to say hello to Instagram. We'd like to say hello to our page we're on for the first time, Conscious Conversations with Carolyn&Larry on Facebook. And did I? Oh, YouTube, the main one. If you want to see the video with the audio, you can go to YouTube. That is the Larry Locken, LarryLocken, the number one channel at Pleiadian Express Productions /YouTube. I know that's a mouthful, but just type in the Larry Locken one and you'll get there. You'll find it. There's more than one way to roam, I guess. Anyway, so we're happy to have you all aboard. And Carolyn, I know that you've got some words of encouragement to kick us off this morning. So
I do.
why don't you let us
That's
have it?
beautiful.
Literally.
And this is where my brain is already going because you said Locken and I was thinking, you said Locken and I was thinking MOUSE. That's me.
Yes,
So,
Money Mouse. That's what it should be called.
well, okay, absolutely. Yes. Okay. So, if you choose to participate, that's beautiful. This is a words of encouragement, prayer, whatever fits for you. This is just to bring anybody drawn to this podcast and this now or any future now into divine alignment and to help them serve them to their highest as they choose and allow. So if you choose, please close your eyes and begin to
Yeah, and
pay
don't look at
attention
me
to
for
your
me
breath
too.
and begin to pay attention to your breath, slowing it down, becoming aware of it. The gift that it is. And now I'm going to call in what my guides call the litany. Mother, Father, God, our higher selves, our I am, our guides, our ancestors, our star brothers and sisters, our star family, the angels, archangels, and their divine counterparts, masters, ascended masters, and other Christed beings, star brothers and sisters, star family, the Elohim, Mother Gaia, elementals, any other Christed beings that wish to be participants in this divine alignment. We come together now in this space, in this moment, this weaving of now through the voices that are mine, audible, and mine, Larry, but your voices are here too, as this creation is a co-creation of all participants in every moment that this is received. This particular podcast is about balance, which is a buzzword, which is an overused word, but it's the only one that fit the best for this particular energy that wishes to be conveyed today, which is a juggling. It's a constant juggling. But this juggling becomes, it moved from unconscious and now it moves back into being conscious of choices and focuses. And the offering of this podcast is to bring the participant back into conscious knowing of these elements to touch each one within themselves, because all creation begins within, so that they know, realize, are remembered that their center is who they are and always have been. These viewers, these watchers of all that is from within their being, I offer that is the universe that they are. And from this universe that they are, as sacred aspects of the divine, in every moment in which they insert their grace into every moment here, and they align that in balance as they receive it, and any of the information, the data, the wisdom that is offered in this space that resonates with their soul, that resonates with their being, resonation, reason of their multiple magnificent heart, that helps them align with all presented in the external, because they are grounded in their internal as their first choosing. And all this information and all this data and all this wisdom that comes through, that they pick and choose what serves them to their highest, because they are the deciders of their own reality, always in conversation with their higher self, the divine. May this serve for the highest good for all souls called. So it is. Thank you. May the blessings be.
Amen. And so it is. Thank you, Carolyn. That was really relaxing. I'm a little bit more relaxed now. I just wanted to say real quick though, people, if you on YouTube TV moving around and stuff like that, it's because we're on 6 different platforms at once. So I'm kind of monitoring that. So if it looked like I was spazzing out during Carolyn's prayer, I really wasn't. I was just making sure that everything was set up like it should be. But we're really excited to have everybody here this week, and it's really blessing. We love all your precious hearts out there so much. We're so glad you could join me. This is a topic that I think, on the heels of a really crazy energy shift, is appropriate. A lot of people were feeling out of balance. A lot of people may feel a sense of newness. Maybe they feel their life is a little bit more out of balance now. It's just that understand that each time we go and have one of these major shifts, a celestial event, whatever it may be, full moon, a blood moon, a Mercury in retrograde, right? There's usually an upgrade that comes with that. So it's intense, but then things calm down a little bit and it helps prepare you for the next phase, right, Carolyn? I mean, that's the way I've always looked at it. It's intense while it goes on, and then, this too shall pass, usually, mostly.
There's a lot happening. Yeah, it's I kind of went in and out as you and
Yeah,
I
I was going
both
to
do
say.
when the other person's talking.
Yeah. I've never seen you do it before. I was like, whoa. Yeah.
Something that I need to
Yeah.
qualify, and I told him that I'm going to qualify this podcast,
Yeah.
and maybe from now on, him and I both channel. Every single soul channels as you move closer and closer to your center. And so I'm just going to say that when I'm talking, he may or may not be receiving a lot of information. And while he's talking, I may or may not receive a lot of information. And I'm going to qualify this as well. So we both channel. So here is what channeling is. Channeling is basically receiving energetic impulses that are interpreted through the pituitary gland, which is the master gland located in the center of your brain. And then they're presented, or your mind, or you think that you're hearing because it appears that you're hearing, but it's actually the interpretation of these pulses of energy, these energetic pulses that come from, well, there's the question, right?
Depending, higher self,
Yeah,
spirit guides, people that tune into your frequency from other star systems. Yeah,
many,
that
many,
all the above.
and
Yeah.
it's like, so these are offered, and ultimately, what we are, you determine this. If you're this small little being, or if you're just this massive being that's observing this whole thing, you come from whatever space resonates for you. All of this is offered for your empowerment. So the subject today is about balance and about imbalance, and the words that he read to you are ones that my guides woke me up with a couple days ago, clear as day. And I kept seeing this, I couldn't think of the name of those, the pinball machine. I kept seeing this ball being
Yeah.
forced through these turns
Yeah.
and things. And I kept seeing it. And I was just, I was getting, it's like
What
these
do you call
choices,
that
these things,
game? Yeah.
we have to make them. It's like, you can make this. Yes, there's always free will, but
Yeah.
at some point you come so far, you just don't want to undo all the work you've done.
Mhm.
So you go forward, and at one level you could say forced, because you certainly don't want to go back that way. So you're
No.
going this way. And I was given this clarity as well. And you didn't read this out, but it was basically that this thing I was given, which is where I thought I was being in faith, and where I thought I was being strong in faith.
Mhm.
There's a point where you get in the fixed place where you're like this, and you have to decide, are you like this because you really are aligned and you know that within yourself? And we're going to talk about the indications of how you know that. Ultimately, these are for you to discern and decide. But it's like, are you really aligned and in faith and being strong, or is it a barrier that you have created against movement that you call faith, but is in truth stubbornness rooted in fear? And so it's like, this is the time to really know, where are you aligned? And I'm not intending any of this to plant doubt into what is already aligned within you. This is only intended to enlighten and offer wider perspective into what is already occurring in your experience. Um, and so, do you want me to go through that checklist that I was given?
Yeah. Yeah. Please do. Yeah. Please do. I thought it was a great idea when you brought that up in the pre-show. So please do. Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I'm going to say also is that, as we um, move into more balance, ideally, then what we're doing is moving into higher levels of us, and we're moving into, and you move. My observation is, as you move into higher levels of you, you have your personal truths, and those are things that you've lived by. I'm hearing dogmas within me, and
Mhm.
they're not insignificant. They're significant to you. However, as you move more and more into alignment, into your divine alignment to what is bringing you peace in every moment, then I offer that you are moving from your personal truths into universal truth, and you are moving closer to source within you.
Right.
Okay. All right. I was kind of going through yesterday, and it popped in my head. I was comparing where I used to be when I was at a place where I wasn't as balanced. And balance, again, as I'm going to qualify, as I said in the initial divine alignment prayer, is it's not, there's nobody that's always balanced. It's a constant thing, right? It's a juggling. It's just the juggling gets
Only
more.
you, Carolyn. Only you.
There's a flow, right? There's a
Right.
flow. So I'm just going to present these statements, and they're for you to take and process and discern, toss or take as much as you choose. Um, about balance, as I've observed, you're practical and fun loving or lighthearted, and you can shift on a dime. It's no more fixed. You're able to pivot from this place of being not happy about this, and you speak your truth, and you might be angry about it for a minute, and then the next minute you're back to peace, because that's your center. Um,
Yep.
you communicate with nature more, and you crave being outside or interacting with nature more, so much more. However you want to see that, you either go outside and you're in nature, or you maybe have pets, or you're enjoying the sun in your house, or you're talking to the plants, or you're listening to music that is, all of these are places where that comes into your life, and it takes over more. Does that make sense, Larry?
Totally. Yeah. I think
Um,
so. It's more of just an unspoken thing, really.
yes. Um, you're able to understand and understand different points of view, and especially opposing points of view. And you welcome them because
Mm-hmm.
everybody's got their own opinion, own points of view on everything, and that's beautiful because that's truth, and everybody has their own personal truths. Um, you don't take things personally. You
No.
choose what you choose to put your energy into and focus into, but you understand that the actions of others really,
Mm-hmm.
truly never are about you. They're about them and where
You, you,
they are.
I talked about that the other night on one of my self talks I did about people like getting offended. There's no when you see somebody having a bad day, maybe somebody snobby to you at the store, the bank, or whatever. It's not. It's really never anything personal. Rarely is it. I mean, and if it is, it's you know it because there's some history there with that particular person. But typically, the overwhelming majority of the time, it is not personal, right? It's just they're trying to find, in essence, they're trying to find their balance too, and you don't know what they've got going on in their life, right? So
Yeah, you
unless
don't.
you're forced the only time I feel bad for somebody is if they're forced to live in a situation where they're constantly being exposed to that and there's really nothing they can do about it. But man, if it's something you can walk on by hearing, or if you can scroll on by, whether you're on social media or you don't have to stay there and listen. You don't have to get all offended and complain. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your effort. And what is it that you're really offended about that somebody said one of the seven dirty words the FCC doesn't want you to say on regular broadcasting? I mean, really, like 2025, get over that, you know.
Yeah. It's like, what do
But
you choose to give your energy to? What do you choose to give your attention to? If you truly
so,
if you truly trust that all exists is this present moment, and at some point, and this is just my experience, I've seen it in others,
mhm,
but you have your own. My observation is that all that exists is this present moment, and then there are moments that are connected, and that creates an experience. But
awesome,
if you
yeah,
truly trust that all that exists is this present moment, then what you give your attention to, your precious divine attention to, is really a big deal. And it's like, what do you want to give your energy to? This thing that you don't like, that's disrupting
yeah,
you, that is bugging
yeah,
you and triggering
right,
you, or something that is reminding you of what you're grateful for, bringing you into happiness, bringing you into joy, lightening up your day,
yeah,
making you feel alive,
yeah,
you
absolutely.
know? Yeah, it's, yes.
Versus
Um,
getting versus getting hung up on whether they said the F word, or you're a son of a bitch or whatever, right? And I'm not even really, when I said that, I want to preface, I'm not talking about insults directly at somebody. I'm talking about like hearing somebody swear, or talking about something that maybe you don't approve,
yeah,
whatever it might be, sex or whatever the hell it is that they're talking about, right? I mean, if you can get away from that and it's not anything that concerns you, I mean, then don't mind your own business, really, honestly.
it's like a
Well, that
big
must be
show.
the business. It's that balance. It's that balance. Usually, I would say mind your own mother something business, and just walk on. But yeah, I mean, really, but there are people that do still get offended. Oh, I don't like all that cussing. Well, then it's look. First of all, it's 2025. Second of all, it's just a goddamn word. Um, Relax. It's okay. There are bigger worries in the world. Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, the next thing was, let's see. You have very strong and still loving boundaries, and peace is your highest priority. And this is not, it's not about ignoring things. It's about having awareness of things and understanding that your ability to truly see things is from a place of peace or stillness or observation or neutrality within you. And that allows you to see things at a much higher level instead of
Mm-hmm.
being down here and triggered. Because when you're viewing things from a much higher level, not judgmental level, not judgmental, not condescending, this is a place where your heart is engaged, and you are compassionately observing, um, in a grounded space, giving space to others to make their own mistakes and their own choices, and you're observing, and as we said in the last podcast, you discern in the moment, depending on your relationship with that person, how much you choose to interact with them,
Right.
and help them or assist them or whatever. Um, but you understand, and you always come back to this place of peace within you, or any
Mhm.
interpretation of that: neutrality, compassionate neutrality,
Yeah.
witnessing, um, any one of those words. Larry, there's still more, but
Yeah, yeah. I think the one thing that kind of on that topic, but that kind of unnerves me a little bit is that there are people that will get offended by that, and then they'll go instead of saying, talking to you and pulling you aside and talking to you, they'll go to somebody else. Like, if they want to complain about what you've said on social media or on a podcast, or they're offended by it, so they'll complain to TikTok, right? And it's like, are they resentful? What is it that they're trying to accomplish by doing that? Do they not want? Are they afraid some kid is going to hear the F word? Or, I mean, and if that's the case, I mean, get over it. I'm sure they've heard it already. Um, I wonder, it kind of, I guess it's something within them where they feel like there needs to be some kind of a justice. They want somebody to pay for something that they have a problem
it's
with,
a,
that they have come to terms with.
to me, it's a
What I mean?
personal. It's not always what is the altruistic intention. It could be also like what you're referring to. It could be a personal agenda because they're being triggered and they have unfinished work and they're projecting onto whatever that is, because they don't want to deal with their own stuff. Now that
Yeah.
said, could there be legitimacy in that reaction? Absolutely. Absolutely. But how you
Hmm.
choose to react to it, what you choose to give energy to, your precious divine energy to, and attention, that's entirely your own. Maybe it would be more worthwhile to go hug your child, go outside, wash your car, go, vacuum your rug, than put that post up about that reaction to that person and those words that really have no consequence. With no judgment on any choice of any person's reaction to it. I'm just saying their time, their moment, their attention is worth so much more. That's just that's just how I feel. um,
Yeah. 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 I can understand that. I can totally understand that.
yeah.
I was just reading some of the comments. Sorry, down on the YouTube part. Yeah. On that note, well, see,
So
these energies are they're crazy. But I wanted to also go ahead and get into what go ahead and continue with what you were saying. But I wanted to also touch on how some of these
yeah,
energies have really played in it. Especially this time. This time was a little
yeah.
bit unique. But yeah, go ahead, Carolyn.
No, I was just, I've got this list. So, I mean, the next one is, you just really don't care about trivial things like gossip or fads or popular opinion.
Hmm.
Your center is within you, and maybe a small group of soul family that you're with, and all the rest is, you're indifferent about it. You're not concerned about any of that. You don't give
Hmm.
your focus or attention to any of those things because they're really insignificant, and you actually know that. Um, you're far more capable of navigating a lot of conflicting emotions and feelings at once.
Hmm.
The more and more that you uh, do your inner work and become aware of your inner, what was I hearing? Inner landscapes, inner shifting, um, and how you react to things and navigating in your external world, the more that you uh, become more and more capable of navigating so many conflicting emotions and feelings at once, because you're weighing, you know, the internal reaction you have to this, and is it worth it to express that? You're feeling about this, is it worth it to express that? And then this person's doing this thing over here, but you feel within you that the intention of that had nothing to do with what most people would think, because you know that person,
Mm-hmm.
and this external event that happened here, that everybody's reacting this way, but you in your inner conversation feel very strongly that it really had nothing to do with that thing. It actually had to do with this thing. And it's, you get more and more comfortable. Well, there's the word balancing all of these things. Navigating is another word I'm getting that could be substituted for balancing to a degree. Um, right, Larry?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, really, you're more focused, but I think a lot of us have been that way for a long time. I mean, but I think more and more people are coming into that balance where they're just more focused on their immediate, I don't know, aura, the people that are around them, people of like mind, right? They're not so concerned with the outside noise, right? That's coming in from wherever it may be, mainstream media, whether it's outside, issues outside of the country, issues that really don't pertain, right? They're not giving all their energy as much anymore to dwelling on that, and almost in a way I found that it would be like they were lulling themselves into living vicariously, right, through another situation that might be going on somewhere else, or through another person's life, right? I think people are starting to come into their own more and focus on what's going on them and be more present in that moment instead of looking at somebody with this gleam in the eye, like, man, I wish I were them, and boy, what a fantasy that would be, right? I think as we've awakened in the last couple of decades a little bit more, and plus that has to do a lot too with the times we're in, social media, for all the bad that people bitch about it and complain about it, but they still use it. But it's allowed us to connect more. And so there's not just this, okay, I don't have anything else to relate to. So I'm just relating to something I see in a magazine or, on a TV show that comes on once a week. And I'm going to live my whole life vicariously wondering what's going to happen on that, or what's going to happen on this soap opera or that
Right.
soap opera tomorrow, right? So I think people are living more and more less like that because people are awakening, but it's also too the technology has coincided with it. So a person's life does not have to be, their aura doesn't have to be just, they're not limited to whoever is in their little community, right? They're not limited
Right.
to interacting with the same old people they've always known. There's such a more variety of people to connect. And as we do that, it just shows that we're a lot more alike than we thought even. And, we're all part of this quantum entanglement, right? That's really just as small as an atom, but yet it's as big as the entire universe. Okay. And that's all of us. We're all just replicas of the same kind of creation over and over and time again. And it, just done a different way, right? Presented in a different shape or form. Life is life.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. That, yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, the next one I was going to say, you just explained. I said you have faith and hope and trust in your capabilities, and they are solid, or as solid as you've ever had them.
Mm-hmm. It's that,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, uh,
Little distracted this morning, are you?
no, I'm reading.
Go ahead.
So I've got peace is your fairly, just like I was saying before, fairly constant state. And no matter what happens externally, you can get back to it relatively quickly most of the time. Um, it's right there. It doesn't mean that you don't get pulled. Like I had some rough days earlier this week because my babe had some rough days, which was very unusual for me. But it also, just like for all of us, there's like the, what is it, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And so we're growing every time we're going. That's the hard part is
Mm-hmm.
in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, you don't understand, you don't know because it's also new because the fact is you're new to you. Who the heck are you? You've always defined you from these external things. And when you begin to
Mm-hmm.
define you from your internal stuff, then it's all new. And it's hard to tell when you're making these choices that maybe aren't supportive or retractive, or you do this reaction and you're just like, oh my God, I fucked up. And you, over time, you begin to realize, well, that's part of it. That's part of growth is that, yeah, you're going to fuck up. You're going to step back. You're going to make choices and say things that you're just like, well, no, I swore I wasn't going to do that again. But it's,
Mm-hmm.
you reach a point where you're like, okay, this kind of is old. And to me,
Yeah.
it is compassion for self that motivates you, but it's also, you're just kind of like, you're bored. You're like, wow, I'm kind of bored with this. And
Hmm.
I'm getting this at a soul level. Well, okay, we've kind of done this lesson, and I know what happens if I do this, then I'm going to feel this way, and this thing's going to happen, and then I'm going to feel this way about life, and that really gets old. And maybe I want
Hmm.
something different. Maybe, maybe I could not cry so much. Maybe I could not be so miserable. Maybe, wow. And then you begin to try on different behaviors. Wow, what I tried on this thing, and that's where external stuff helps you, but yet I would offer that external things resonate with you because it's already an energy that's within you. Like gratitude, like you see somebody, you see maybe an Instagram feed that talks about one of the steps of this is about being grateful, and you start thinking about the things that you're grateful for. Whoa, I really felt better from that. And then you begin to kind of allow these things in more and more. And again, I'm saying you allow them in because they already exist within you. What are you reading, Larry?
Oh, I'm having a technical difficulty with Facebook right now with our live feed on that page.
Okay.
It exited. So yeah, we might not be able to finish on there. So, but that was our
Okay.
first time. So we'll see.
No
We'll
worries.
see. But anyway, yeah, continue to go on down. Do you have anything more
Yes.
on that list to go
Yes.
for? Yeah.
Yes, I do. Um,
Awesome, awesome,
I mean, the
awesome,
next,
girl.
okay. The next one I'm going to say is one that you and I were talking about before we went on the podcast, which is the more that you, the more that you move into balance, and it's, to me, it's like more and more balance is maintained more often for longer, which is also could be observed as peace, holding peace in your body, um, viewing things from a peaceful place or a non-attached place or a neutral place. And the thing I was going to say is you crave stillness. You crave stillness
Hmm.
and you crave silence, and that's because you you actually like and enjoy and prefer your own company more and more. It doesn't mean that you don't want to connect with friends or be with family or anything. It's just there's this equal thing where you reach a point where you're with others, and you begin to crave to be with you. And it's like this
Hmm.
again, there's that word balance. It's this where you're just like, okay, I need to go refuel. That's the way I'm receiving it. Okay, I need to go refuel myself. I've been in this place. I love these people. Now I need to go reflect, refuel. And you crave that more and more. And the stillness is just, the stillness becomes, I'm going to say the word I'm getting within me, orgasmic. It's just
Yeah, orgasm of the
it,
heart, totally.
it it's like, and the silence, and you're just like, oh my god, this is better than, well, you could say orgasm, but this is better than chocolate
Is
cake. This is better than, to actually achieve that and to feel that within you is like, it's heaven. Um,
that what it's like?
yeah, I mean, it's just that complete. My guides, 7 or 8 years ago, when I was connecting very high, but I wasn't as grounded. I told you about this time when I was in Landa a lot, Larry. There was about 2 years in when my guides really, really, really pushed me and wanted me to achieve a place of complete stillness and complete silence. And I worked on it and I worked on it. And finally, one day when I was in meditation, and this was when I was doing the formal meditation, um, it was so still. And since time didn't exist in that space, I don't know how long I was there. My thoughts were maybe 20 minutes or something, because I chose to lay down in the park. I was between three trees. So I was in this vortex is what I got. And it was completely still. It was, and there was my mind was not chattering. Um, and it was like a pinnacle is what I'm hearing within me, for me to reach that, to be able to connect with that, um, and remember that within me, not even from the time I'm talking about, but it's like this knowing within me, if that makes sense, Larry.
Yeah, exactly. Is that the time you were talking about? You were in the park and you would go every day and just meditate and connect with the earth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. But I mean, this was something I had to build to because but I would hear it within me, absolute stillness and absolute silence. And I was like, what? How am I supposed to get there? And I slowly worked my way there because
Yeah.
it was like my higher self really wanted me to get there. And finally, I don't know, maybe a year later,
You're
after trying
connected.
off and on, I was there and I achieved
Okay.
it, and I knew why I would had been pushed to it. You know, because now I feel like, one, I know what that feels like, and feeling isn't just this emotional stuff. It's the space that the body occupies and how the energy around you supports that space, if that makes sense, Larry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, go on.
W- Yeah. Well, what I was going to say was, we talk about the balance and everything, and we were talking also about a person's faith. And I think you had brought up something really interesting, and I've been thinking about this,
Right,
is faith being rooted in stubbornness, right? It's that's my faith. People will use that sometimes as an excuse to be stubborn, like they don't have to think outside of the box. I'm just going to rely on my faith, and my faith says, yeah, not to think everything through in every now moment. You know what I mean? It just kind of it's kind of a good I see it as kind of a good lazy excuse to use that as, oh, my faith says this, my faith calls for that. Oh, they said this, they said that. What do you say? Every situation you're in, even if it's a similar one to one you've been in a million times, if some of the variables, of course, are different in it, which they always are, then you have to. I've always been the kind of person where you have to think that through too. Yeah, you might have certain guidelines you have to follow through and move through with while you're in that scenario, whether it's for a job or whatever, being a police officer, whatever it is you may be doing, but you can still think it through, you know what I mean? And there's still angles that you can look at. Um, Faith kind of, it also it gives, I don't know, I think it gives a person kind of that permission to kick the can down the road. You know what I mean? Just, that's, I just have to trust in my faith. And it's one of them things, again, that can sound so hollow coming from some people. And then some people sound really strong in their conviction, right? But sometimes it does adhere to that stubbornness. That's
it's
just
yeah, and that was
they're going to use that as instead of what they're thinking or what their gut feeling is trying to tell them, or
right,
their innate, right, at the
right,
time that may be a little different. They're going to go off of, well, they're going to go off some dogma, like you brought up that word earlier, dogma, right?
yep,
Yeah, they're going to
right,
go off some dogma and the way it was always done. Well, that's the way it's always been done. That's the way it's always going to be done. Also, well, always the way it should be done, right? I've just
right.
never subscribed to that kind of theory. And I think maybe less and less people are doing it, but still, some people will do that still. I found, and yeah, it's frustrating, but that's part of like somebody like my work is learning to let that kind of stuff go too, right? It gives a person kind of an excuse. People are always looking for a reason not to have to make that tough decision, not to have to, you'll put it out there, right? Lay it on the line. They're looking for that reason just to, nah, well, that's just how it
Right.
is. And, oh, I don't ask me. You see it really in our business, in our work culture, especially in the United States. Nobody wants to make the decision, right? Well, I don't have any say over that. Well, and then you go up, oh, I don't have any say over it. Well, ask so and so. Well, so and so just told me to ask you, motherfucker. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. What? What's your take on it? Right? I mean, people are so,
Okay.
and it's over the most chicken shit little things too. At least that's what I'd always found anyway. Right?
Well, to me, it's not something until I received that a couple of days ago I ever even thought about. But um, you can have, to me, you can have dogged faith, but you have to ask yourself, are you in this space of this faith because you've been programmed that that's the way to do it, and you haven't done any self exploration into what that actually means for you? And then I got within me a minute ago that it's not anchored within you. It's actually this external thing that you've allowed to be projected onto you, and you've said it's
Mhm.
yours, but you
Mhm.
haven't explored it. So to me, that's the place where you're
Mm-hmm.
being stubborn. With all respect, this is my observation. Take or toss
Mm-hmm.
it. Where you're being stubborn and you're in fear because you don't want to explore it. Because to
Exactly.
explore it means that you might get lost again. But the truth is, what I'm going to offer is the only way you can ever learn about yourself is that you get lost. You have to get lost and you have to lose connection with those projections and those things that have said that this is what you are. You won't know the difference until you do. And I'm not saying to make do crazy weird things that are like life threatening. I'm saying to
Mm-hmm.
make choices and
Mm-hmm.
do things that are out of your normal realm of comfort but are still safe,
Yeah.
relatively safe, right?
Right.
Because you have to push those boundaries, because if you don't push those boundaries, well then frankly those boundaries begin to enclose on you, and you end up living in a box. And you, blessed being listening to this, are not a box. You are an
Yeah.
infinite energy that can be expressed in any direction of existence, and you are the one that determines what direction you choose to focus and to bring forward into your experience. And so to enliven the and so take energy of faith that is the divine as you, however you choose to see it, and you
Mm-hmm.
practice it. You experiment with it. You push
Yeah.
against the wall, whatever and whoever says that it's supposed to be this way, because you are the one that decides that in your own reality.
Right.
Nobody decides it but you. And I'm going to say this, and this is going to really go out on a limb, but this is what I'm getting. Even if some scripture says this is what I'm hearing, you need to practice it, because you won't know the difference and you won't appreciate the difference until you know it within yourself. Because
Yeah.
until you know it within yourself and you begin to push those walls, no matter where they're from, no matter where they're from, you won't be able to get embody it. You won't be able to be it. You
No.
don't know it. You have to get lost. You have to lose touch with whatever that was, because the truth of what you are is never gone, has never been. It's just what happens is that you have these projections and these layers of crap that have been placed over what
Yeah.
you are.
Absolutely.
And what happens is as you get lost to those lies, you get lost to those projections, and the truth of what you are begins to be revealed as you allow yourself to fail, allow yourself to try, allow yourself to make those choices, those mistakes, and move
Yeah.
closer and closer to what you always have been.
Yeah, learn to
Larry.
navigate through those gray areas, right? Yeah, Carolyn, learn to
Right.
navigate through those gray areas, right? You're going to have to get lost. What I like to call it is, the same thing, but I like to call it, learn to work in gray areas. And I
Yeah.
was surprised, I think, when I first got in the workforce years ago, how many people really don't know how to do that. And then, and I didn't buy it for a long time. I thought they were just being shitheads, but really, a lot of people don't. They're so used to a black and white, this is right or right is right, wrong is wrong. And what a
Right.
simplistic, what a shame, what a simplistic, very ignorant way of looking at life. You know what I
Right.
mean? And right, up is down, black is white, right is right and wrong is wrong. I mean, no, it's not really. There's no really such thing. It's just really an energy that's put out there with any of that stuff, right? There's no right or
Right.
wrong energy, right? When it comes right down to it. And you're right about people exploring that. They haven't gotten lost, or they haven't learned to focus in gray areas and work on it. Otherwise, because if they don't do that, it's what we talk about all the time. These catchphrases, do unto others, and we're all part of God, and you can't love anybody if you don't love yourself. What we talk about over and over again on this show, right? They
Right.
become they're hollow, right? It's hollow and they're meaningless. But it's one of them things too. On the
Puppet.
flip side, whereas if you can
I'm
get
hearing
full,
puppet.
yeah, go ahead. You're
I'm
hearing
hearing
something.
puppets. They become puppets. Puppets. Puppets to external dogma,
Well, for
programming.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
Well,
not pushing against those walls,
no,
you
not
know?
at all. And they're comfortable not doing it, and so they look at, well, so and so said this, so and so said that. So I mean, you know what I mean? It's like people they not only, it's one thing to want to look up to somebody, and I always say this, and have somebody that's kind of a role model, but it's another thing too to put them on any kind of pedestal, like they're just, they it's easy to, well, they're just another human being, because it might be your boss, it might be somebody that you really looked up to, it might be a famous somebody famous, right, that you look up to, and you trust their every word undyingly. But the reality of it is it's what you know. Why don't you start falling in love with yourself like that? You know what I mean? Not in a selfish, egotistical way, like looking in the mirror, like I do 24/7. Usually when we're not getting ready for a show, I'm in front of the mirror telling myself how wonderful I am and that I'm Mr. Wonderful, and people are just dying to hear what I have to do. Well, and I'm telling myself too. It's like, I mean, I can understand it too, because I was listening to myself talk to myself, and I'm like, man, this is amazing. This is just so phenomenal. But
For sure.
people, right, exactly. So you could save yourself the trouble and do that. And I'm kind of being serious there, really, versus giving a fuck what your boss thinks about anything besides your work, what your teacher thinks about anything besides what is the task at hand, about, as it relates to whatever the hell they're related to, what you are doing with your life that's absolutely necessary, right?
Right.
Just because somebody you look up to golfs doesn't mean you got to take up golfing, or because they like this, oh, it should be fun, right? Yeah, that's a really kind of a fool's errand to go down that kind of a road, right? And I always wondered why people do that, and I wonder if it's this feeling to fit in. Of course, it goes back to that, right? They just want to fit in, but they don't want to have to do the work, and they don't want to have to think about these things every step of the way. You know. And I've never quite, for me, part of the thing was trying to understand that, because I'm
Yeah.
as lazy in the mind as anybody could possibly be, and you know, I'm still into thinking things through, in these scenarios. Yeah,
Right.
not because so and so likes it, right? I mean, now I could be paid. Like I said, show me the money. I could be paid and bought off to feel that way, or to put a good front out there like I do, but. Yeah, I don't know. It's a real. I'm glad that we're moving in, as we've moved into the age of Aquarius from the Piscean age. We certainly, hopefully, it's more of focusing in these, getting lost and focusing, having your multidimensionalness be able to operate on various levels at the same time, and various levels within the same levels too at the same time, right? So,
Yeah.
how to function, and how to handle yourself in every situation you're in, and adapt to that situation without, of course, without giving up your principles or things that are important to you in your heart. But you
Right.
don't just look at it like, well, this person's got to pay for doing this, or this person did this person did that, so they need to be punished. That's another thing we have to get out of too, is that, but we can touch on that on another show, but of that needing to want to make people suffer and punish them. Once you've got the problem sort of taken care of, and not eliminated, I don't like that word, but taken care of. For instance, you don't have to sit there and, oh God, I'm glad that motherfucker's going to pay for what he did. No matter what the person did, really, that mentality is unhealthy and it's not productive. You
Yeah.
know.
What I'm getting is you you shift. What I'm getting is you shift that mentality. I mean, to the extent is subjective, obviously, but you shift that when you begin to anchor more peace within you, because you really want peace for everybody, and you to
Sure.
reach the place
Not true.
where you to reach the place where you're more balanced, or more balanced more often, however you want to phrase that. It means that you know you've gone through many, many dark nights of the soul, and you really don't wish them on anybody, and you don't wish suffering on anybody, because you know what it means. You get tired of the suffering. That's the reason why you eventually reach peace, is because you get tired of your own suffering. You want something
Mhm.
different, and you get tired of um, seeking it externally, because over this lifetime or others, you learned that that didn't work. And at some point,
Right. Well,
at some point, you begin to crave the peace, because you've already had the suffering. You know what chaos is like. You know what this is like. You've gotten I'm hearing you got your appetite quenched. And
mhm. At the
it's just
risk
like
of
I've said
others.
other times. The reason why you could be in internal balance or more balance is because you've already explored your dark. you've been there, you've done that, and you know where that goes. I'm getting within me. You've had your joys, you've had your experiences there, and you've also had your incredible pain that you've experienced from those places,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all been within you. And so you wouldn't choose that. You wouldn't choose that at all, because you wouldn't want another to suffer more. And again,
You hope not.
the
No.
degree of that is subjective per soul, is what I'm getting within me on that.
Well, yeah, and look, I'm not saying if there's a problem, like, I mean, of course, we're all human, and if somebody did something to somebody you loved really a lot, right there in that moment, it's perfectly natural to have a reaction and to
Right,
get pissed off, and
right,
somebody did something to one of your kids right in that moment. But what I'm not, I hate to have to preface that because it should fucking go without saying. I'm not talking about extremely extreme circumstances. I'm talking about the norm. You heard about something on TV that has nothing to do with you. Somebody did something, and now you really want them to pay, and well, you hope they get what they deserve, and you know, um, and even down to, oh God, I hate lawyers. Lawyers just try to get people off, and I tell any dumb motherfucker that says that, you'd be the first one that would want the best lawyer if you really needed one, right? You'd be the first one. Right. And these same people never say anything about a district attorney that has an open fucking pocketbook to go on an absolute witch hunt if they wanted to against somebody. No problem. They have
true.
no problem with that. But somebody that has a lawyer, but people, you know what I mean? They're at their phase when it comes to that. And I've heard less and less of that over the last couple of years. But this complaining about it, lawyers and no, they ought to, but these people would be the first person to want one if they really needed one, right? So you can't. It's weird. It always kills me. This will be off a little bit topic too. So, like, people complain about athletes making a ton of money, like when they go on strike or something. Oh, those athletes make too much money. God damn it! Those people are defeating their own purpose by saying that, because the people that employ them that they're striking against they're not multimillionaires like the athletes. They're multi fucking billionaires that are making those billions, breaking
Right,
the back these
right,
athletes.
right,
You
right.
mean to tell me? You mean to tell me you've got two sides there, and you're going to go with the one that's shittier in the way that you're blaming these players for than the the person who's on the other end? You know what I mean? They want to blame that next realm up that might have it a little bit better than they do, but the somebody way up towards the top is like God to them or whatever, right? They're okay with a CEO making a shitload of money, but somebody in the middle or upper
Duality.
starts making more. They're like, oh, that person is a fuckwad, but way before they even get to that kind of a thing. I mean, they don't look at the bigger picture. I think what I'm tying this all around back to is they don't look at the bigger picture, right? Oh, those guys make too much money. They make too well. Yeah, okay. Well, first of all, what about the motherfuckers that are breaking their backs off these players doing that shit for them, right? Or
Yes.
that's okay though. That's okay though
We'll
that's
see. Right,
happening.
right.
Right.
I mean, when you first started talking
Right.
about this, I kept getting within me. It's unmet anger within the soul.
Yep. Yep.
It's unfinished. It's like this loose, and I'm seeing like this fireball that zooms back and forth within this person, and they
Mm-hmm.
haven't addressed it. They just let it fly free, and they haven't given it its valid voice through them and through their experiences that created that fireball in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm getting, and
Totally.
yeah. So I mean, I hear you there. You're talking about they need to include everybody in that
Mm-hmm.
paradigm stacking, not just the player that they make the target of. I agree. Yes, I understand.
You
Um,
understand the philosophy? I wasn't trying to have that subject take over the show, but it's kind of like, okay, they're not seeing the river through the forest, right? They're looking at
right.
that, and you're right about that, including all of it, right? And the one that they're talking about is definitely not the one that they should even be anywhere near talking about first. So they've kind of lost the plot there too. Yeah,
It's
exactly. It's
duality.
yeah, duality. There you go.
So
Yeah.
it's duality. So it's certainly not just one thing. It's just like we're talking about balance. It's more than one thing.
Yeah.
And as we talk about that, I'm seeing within me. the balance isn't just this and this. When you really begin to, I'm hearing anchor peace, and it becomes your norm more and more. The balance isn't just this and this. When we're talking about multiple things, the balance is this and this, this, this,
Mm.
this, this, this. You know, and
Yeah,
it's a constant thing, right? It's
I,
that's
absolutely.
you know, and it's about being in divine flow, and the flow is and I've said this in other podcasts, but the flow is about allowing and surrender, and you choose that for yourself more often because um you've tried the other way,
Hmm.
and you see that when you when you allow and you surrender in places where it's obvious that that's what has to happen, you just kind of, you're at peace again. You're just kind of like, oh, okay, I figured out, my brain has bounced its head off this thing how many times. I can see that I'm not going to make anything happen in this space. I've
Yeah,
tried everything, so I have to just. And then that's a place where you let it go, and
yeah,
essentially whatever that thing is doesn't, no matter the significance, which is the hard part, honestly, but
absolutely.
it doesn't really exist in your reality after that, and then you're not troubled about it. And then it could be like, what I'm getting is manifested instantly, because your hands, your energy isn't grasping it, trying to, which is blocking the flow, is what I'm getting within me. Um, yeah, I've got more on that list if you're interested.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Uh,
I'm very interested. Yeah, absolutely. Kick it in.
you
That, yeah.
value you value your time, and you realize it's a treasure, and it needs to be respected. And we were talking about that earlier. Your time is your attention, and it's not random. It's not all that exists is this moment. And as you've given all that you are in this moment from a place of authenticity, to me, I that's what I call love. You
But
know, giving your attention to
like a,
something.
ladies and gentlemen, like a pre-show, when I tell Carolyn, hey, Carolyn, I'm going to be on in about 2 minutes to talk to you. And it's about 20 minutes later, and Carolyn's still sitting there like a saint waiting for me. But that's another, yeah, that's another subject. But yeah, yeah, absolutely. Though
Right.
it's about learning to appreciate that your time is worth something. That doesn't mean have an arrogant attitude about it, but
Nope.
take that 100% that you're giving out, take 20% of that and give back to yourself, and appreciate that your time is important, right? And also, it helps you to respect yourself. And I really think, Carolyn, too, that it sets the tone to put out that vibe more for people to respect you and respect your time. Do you know what you know what I mean? When you're in that kind of a mode.
Because because
Yeah.
it's mirrored. Yeah, yeah. And you, but it starts because you respect you. It starts
Yep.
because you see that you matter, and you begin to really put that energy out there. You're like, wow, that, my I'm not gonna even in the, I know you and I have said this before, even though this person I love deeply sent me this long ass video, I want to respect them, but I'm not drawn to watch this video. In fact,
Right.
it doesn't resonate with me at all, right? So
No. Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. I
you
can
choose
relate.
to watch that video, or you could just maybe thumbs up it or something and just be like, okay, thank
Or
you.
never.
You know, um,
Mm.
yeah, the next thing I've got is just like we said a minute ago, like your tolerance for violence in movies or verbally,
Mm.
it's all less appealing. It's all less appealing. It's not that yeah, you could sit through that stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
but
Yeah.
you also become aware of that, and you and I said this before, that once you watch that stuff, and it's free will. You watch whatever you want to watch. That's your
Right.
business.
Right.
But it's
Absolutely.
like, but once you watch that, once you've watched that, once your brain has engaged with that, it exists within you. It's kind of horrible to say, but it's the truth, I mean,
Oh, absolutely. I've seen it do it to people. I'm not saying I've seen it turn people into fucking people that eat bats' heads off, but I mean, it does. It kind of, I've seen it spill over into their character, right? When they become real adrenaline junkies with watching shit that's really Same old, no creativity. Somebody getting their head chopped off, their head blown off, some weird fucking head game with them. The car won't start after they ran out of the, house.
Yeah.
That they were alone in, that they went and checked every room in the dark by themselves down in the basement, like I wouldn't do.
I'm hearing the next level of expansion isn't violence, it's creativity, it's joy, it's how much can you hold,
Yeah.
how much of this, how much of this, how much more expansive can we go into this way, isn't this more, I'm
More
hearing verbatim
productive.
the next level of expansion. Yes.
Isn't
What's
that
that?
more productive, right? And isn't that more productive than seeing who can top who on doing the most vile thing, or something that's gross, or something that's played out, something that you've seen a million times, a million different spins on it, and a million different movies, right? And instead,
Yeah.
it's a creativity to create more, to create something new, something different, something fresh, whatever it is that you might be into, or it's whatever fills your passion. Right? Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, and some of it can be, I'm getting within me, it could be gory creativity, but it's like the way it's presented, you lose tolerance for I'm hearing the underlying intent, because
Right.
you could still have, I'm hearing gory creativity, but when you present it from a place of appreciation of the body, or just whimsical offering, it takes away the negativity that the past would have brought, if for anybody, because to me it's about
Right.
free will, right? Yeah, that's
And the more creativity that's infused into that, the newer, fresher spins on it. Of course, it's
completely
easier to focus on that part of it versus just that same old repetition over and over again, right? Of somebody getting killed the same old way, somebody running from the bad guy the same old way, right? And so I really can appreciate, like you said, gory creativity. I'm not a gore or blood or guts kind of a guy, but I can appreciate the creativity behind it when it's something, it's a
Totally.
fresher spin, something new. Like a lot of young people, I'm encouraging to see whatever it is. A lot of them I've seen that they're into various ones. They're very creativity. They're very
Right.
creative, and they're putting new twists on it and new ways that other generations hadn't thought of. And then, you still got to get a lot of the old man on the lawn kind of mentality. Oh, these kids these days, these kids. I mean, they've been saying that since dawn of fucking time, right? I mean, and it's just, oh boy,
Right.
nowadays. Well, I tell you, nowadays you don't nowadays. Well, there's always going to be a nowadays, motherfucker, and tomorrow's going to be a nowadays, the next nowadays, that, that. I mean, what? And then I think back, and I think people were saying this in the 1950s, the 40s, the 30s, since the dawning of time. Well, I'll tell you anymore these days. Well, it's just getting to be, well, what? It's getting to be what? Everything's going to hell in a handbasket, and the world's coming to an end, and it's Monday morning at 6:30 a.m., and you got to go to work 6 days this week, and corporate's going to be in town, and you got a bad hangover, and that's going to be the rest of your life, just like that.
It's
Versus Friday
that's
after your birthday. Right.
that's a focus of I'm hearing focus of being ungrateful, focus of seeking not seeing the light, seeing the negativity, not choosing to change, to see
Yeah.
anything differently. It's a fixed space, that one,
No, wide. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next one I've only got a few more. Next one I've got is like friends or soul family that are clearly off balance enough to drain you, begin to be more difficult to keep company with. You just, even if you love them, even if you want you can't take their chaos. You want to be there for them, but you reach a point where you realize that as you overgive to them to try to help them, that you get moved into the chaos, and you have to make those choices, and it sucks. It sucks. But
Oh boy.
it's like, it's a frequency thing is what I'm getting. And
Mhm.
you begin to realize that as much as you try to help them, to save them, to do any of those things, you can't do it. As many times as you talk to them and tried to help them, to save them, to make them see things differently, and they still don't, then you realize that you have hard choices to make, because you've done all that work to be where you are, and
Yeah.
you're either going to get pulled down into their frequency, into the chaos where they exist, or
Right.
you're going to have to make a hard choice. And that's something that's reached, is that the more that you move into balance with you more often, move into
Yeah.
balance itself, you see those people that you used to connect with, no matter the relationship, very differently. You make
Mhm.
choices, and this can be family too.
No. Yeah.
That's part of it, you know? Yeah.
No, really,
Yeah,
it
Larry.
is. And I think what amazes me about being in a scenario kind of just like that is that I still get amazed that you're right. They're not. I don't expect people to take my advice blindly, but if they're asking for it, like you've had day in and day out and day out and day out, time and time and time and time again,
Right, right,
and
right, 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 right.
you don't see one thing come of it, right? You don't see them, and then they're asking the same question again, right? Again and again and
Right,
again. You know, and you can only
right,
be patient
right,
so
right.
long with it because I told you what 1 + 1 was. It was two. For the millionth time, I'll tell you again. 1 + 1 is still two. Yeah, but and it's not their fault because we've all been there, right? To an extent. So you have to pull back a little bit, and that doesn't mean be a snob and throw anybody out of your life, or because a lot of people will hear that and they'll jump right to that conclusion. Well, I just got to get rid of them completely out of my life. Well, then that might be the case sometimes, but it means that you could shift your focus a little bit towards other things, and who knows, you might find a path where you reconnect with that person again for a little while again, and then it's
Yeah,
just kind of we bounce off of each other like that, right? And we've all been at both levels and all that shit. Well, I really haven't with a lot of this shit in this lifetime, but I can imagine I was. So right. And
yeah,
yeah, it really, and I understand that, and I try to be cautious of their feelings too. But then again, it gets to a point because if you let it, what ends up happening is if you keep letting it go, you start to get resentful towards them more so than you should. You start getting resentful when it's you not taking yourself out of that situation. You know what I
right,
mean? Or limiting
right.
it. Right, right.
You overgive yourself. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's what happens. So, um, the next one, I've only got a few more left, is you become more and more sensitive on all levels to everything.
Mhm.
To things that you never thought that you would be sensitive to or give a crap about, you really care about, and then other things that used to mean everything to you don't. You
Yeah, that's kind
just
of a weird one too. Yeah, it's kind of weird. That's kind of a weird one too, because all of a sudden you wake up one day and it doesn't when it was your world at one point.
you're just like,
Yeah.
wow, I
Yep.
really care about that. That really,
So,
you don't know how you ever cared about that. And then the hard part is that maybe you've got friends that still care about that, and you're just kind of like,
mhm.
we
Yeah, you
don't really
can't get
have
lulled into
anything in
thinking they've
common.
stopped you, right? You can't get lulled into in that moment thinking that they have quit thinking about that too, and then get surprised that they haven't. I found myself in
Yeah,
that mode before. I was like, "Wow, you're not over that yet either," or
yeah, yeah,
you're not over that yet. I've been over that. I'm so beyond it and past it,
yeah,
right? And it's like, okay, so there's a communication. There's obviously now that sets up a situation where there's going to be communication breakdowns because you're past it, they're still into it, or maybe you're still into it, they're past it, and it's a problem. It can be, it can be a real problem in a friendship, a relationship, or any kind of a situation. It can really, well, it does. It really, if you unless you handle it just right, it really fucks with the whole dichotomy of the scenario, right? And all of a sudden, it's like overnight too. Man, I mean,
right.
it can happen. It can just spring upon you like that.
There it is. Yeah, yeah. It's quick. Yeah, it's like you're this way one day and you're this way the other, and it's all
Yep.
about internal growth, and what I always hear is like unpeeling the onion, the layers that you are
Mhm.
more and
Mhm.
more into your core, instead of these projected things that you thought you were or others said you were, that you're kind of realizing you really aren't, and you really never were. um yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a tough
I've
one to
got
swallow sometimes too.
I got three more, but I don't think this is an exhaustive list. This is just what I came up with.
No, you're
You
fine.
crave you crave the healthier food your body wants for more
Mhm.
far more than the unhealthy stuff than you used to
Like
crave. It doesn't mean you don't eat unhealthy crap. You still eat unhealthy crap sometimes. It's just you, I'm hearing you move into deeper union with your body, and you still allow yourself to eat some of that other stuff, but you also
less
can
gluttonous
balance
about
the choices.
less gluttonous about it is what I'm doing. Yeah.
You're what now?
Less gluttonous about it is what I was getting. I was just starting to interrupt you, but yeah, you get those things even that you still like to indulge in. Well, it seems like you get less gluttonous about them too, if you even still go there. Right?
It's kind of like, well, and because you're, oh, okay, I'm getting this as well. Yeah, okay. Peace. I'm getting peace in the body isn't just the emotional state. It's the energetic state. It's the physical state of the body. Yeah, that's right. Because peace for me, healing for me is peace anchored in the body. And that's a healthy body is all things are working together in their divine flow in the physical body that is ours. And so
I
you
like to
move
call it
more and more into that space.
right.
You know, and what's not balanced and healthy, you become aware of it. It's like this, you know, sore thumb, and you're like, oh yeah, I yeah. Even if you got excuses against it, you're just like, yeah, that's important. I got to do that. You know,
Yeah.
You know.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So.
Yeah, the thing you already mentioned this, but this was what I got. But you already mentioned this in something else. Is you become more and more adaptable to rapid shifts in your life, and essentially you're able to flow more often. You know,
they get easier.
Yeah, and the thing I mentioned earlier, but I didn't realize, I'm kind of rephrasing it here, but it's kind of the same thing as you can be much happier because you're grateful. It's like flipping a switch. One moment you're angry and gloomy, and the next moment you allow yourself to feel gratitude and you're right back at peace. And it's can be that rapid a shift.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And
big time.
yeah, I mean, years ago in the past, I would work and work and work to get to peace. And the more and more, it's like, you know, once I just take a chill, step away, you know, if I'm angry about something, I express my anger, and then there's the peace right there again. It's just it's the center, you know. Let me see.
That's interesting. The turnaround time is definitely quicker now. I mean, it's almost sometimes not even thinkable. It just happens, right? You can be totally in an anger mode, and then and it flips. It flips. Usually, in the past, there'd be a progression where there was definite state or definite stage.
Right.
Yeah.
And it would like build, and now it's like you lose it, you explode. And in the past, where you might have been like holding on to that, it's just like gone.
Yeah.
It's like gone. You're like, whoa,
Totally.
I just lost my shit. And the next moment, you're like,
oh yeah, it's cool. We're cool. Yeah, I'm cool. Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. We're back.
Yeah, it's a turnaround like that, man. I mean, and it happens. It reminds me of this one time. We used to have a family friend. He went to school with my mom and uncle, but my grandparents were real good friends with him. So he'd come over and he was really nice. He'd always bring me candy, bring ice cream, things like that. Well, I hadn't seen the dude in a few years, right? And I had just got my driver's license. I started kind of giving some bad time. I said, "Oh, hey, Russ, how you doing?" And before I could say anything, he looks over at me, goes, "Oh, shut up, you stupid fuck." Then he recognized me. He goes, "Oh, Larry, how's it going? I haven't seen you in years, buddy." I mean, he's starting to rip me, and hey, Larry, you know what I mean? "Oh, shut up, you stupid little fucking punk." "Oh, Larry, it's you. Hi, buddy." And I'd never seen the guy act that way ever in my life. And I was just like, "Oh, hey." Yeah, I'm like, yeah. But the point about it was he recognized who I was, and it's flipped like that before he didn't even think before he said what he said, and before he could even think of anything else, he saw me, and it flipped right into good old, Uncle Russ again mode. Right? It wasn't like, and it's weird because I'd never seen the dude act this way, even have a hint. Right? I mean, I'm not naive, if people can, act that way, but I mean, I knew him my whole life and never seen him anything other than the jolly, but boy, I was like, whoa. And this all happened within the span of 2 seconds, all from start to finish, if that, you know?
It's quick. Yeah, it's not like the
yeah.
festering, there's like this festering,
Mhm.
and it's like I almost feel like there's no more festering, no more festering time. I mean, you have awareness of this thing, and it might fester for a minute, and then you express it, and then it's like gone, and it's like it doesn't exist anymore. I've
Mhm.
ever been to these places where I'm like, I was pissed a minute ago, and now I'm like, and my
Yeah,
thoughts
let's
have been like, what was I pissed about? What was I pissed about?
yeah,
But I mean, it's just like you go these places because that's part of existence in these beautiful physical bodies, is that you feel these things and you have these emotions, and then but you express them, and then you're right back into balance, back into center, and it's like more and more. It's just kind of amazing. It's like I don't know if I've ever told you this. I know I've told my babe this, but I've always thought, and I don't bring this up often because I'm not really how do I say this? I see this person as a master, not the master, Jeshua. And I've
oh,
always thought to myself that, when the man walked on this earth, of course he got angry, of course he got pissed, of course he experienced all those
yeah,
things. But there's a point of time where he would feel them, but he may not necessarily have expressed them the way most people did, the way we
sure.
are, the way we're coming to this place where we feel these things within ourselves, and then we consciously choose if we want to express it or not. The more and more that we move into this place of balance, the more and more it's like, yeah, we have that energy within ourselves, and that thing that triggered us, we have more awareness. I'm seeing something within myself, like that energy that triggered us within us. We can now turn I'm looking at this
Yeah,
internal visual eye that looks at this thing that triggered us, and
yeah,
has maybe a conversation with it, and then you consciously decide, how do I want to react to that? Do I want to give this energy? And maybe in
yeah.
some points you do, but maybe in some points, maybe in many points, you're kind of like, I'm good. I've felt this energy within me. I've exploded within myself. Eh,
You've already,
it's
yeah.
not worth expressing this, right? This is a thought
No,
I've always
not at
had
all.
within myself, is that this being that I consider him a master, the master within me, it's kind of like Jeshua and Buddha, and um that they all felt anger, that they all felt these
Of
emotions
course.
of being in this physical existence. It's just how they expressed it externally.
Different
That
level of
was the point.
involvement. Yeah, their level of involvement dictated how they handled it or expressed it or thought about it, right? I've even found
Very
myself
much.
confused before, as well, not really confused, but like, should I be mad at myself because I'm not angry anymore? Why don't I feel angry anymore? Yeah, you know what I mean? He should have. Well, why don't I? God damn it! I like that emotion for a little bit. It really helped get me through.
God damn it.
Yeah, yeah. I felt myself a little irritated for a second that I wasn't mad. God damn it! Why am I not mad anymore? Why am I not fucking pissed? Why don't I want to go off? Why don't I want to show some rage and passion instead of just being like, oh, calm and soothing?
Yeah.
Right?
But the passion is nice because it's an energy that you can take to use to put into creativity. That's the
Oh
nice
yeah,
part about, and that's the nice
yeah,
aspect of anger, is that it's this energy, this intense energy that you can
Mhm.
fuel into your creations. That's about alchemy, and
Channeling, right? Channeling the right way,
repurposing it.
alchemy, exactly. Channeling the right way, putting that towards there's something you can turn that emotion into positivity and focus on, and that's a big key too. That alone could be something we could touch on in another show, right? Is that
It's
learning how to
something that,
focus those emotions? Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, I've sat and I've told you before, and I told my babe recently, although I think he knows it. He doesn't attach with astrology, but I have a
Mhm.
lot of fire in my chart, you know,
Mhm.
and
Sure, sure.
you know, my moon is in Cancer, but I have a lot of other fire, and it's
Hmm.
it's it's only my thoughts within me are, it's only because of this lifetime now and how I'm
Yeah.
presenting myself now, because this is the time where we shit or get off the pot with why we're here. It has to be done. This is the time. And so it's like, but I've learned to take that fire and I've learned to channel it into positive creations rather than letting it go generally. Hey, I'm human. I have, but generally I take it and I channel it into the. So yes, it could easily be another podcast because it is something that people people need to learn or maybe remember is my thoughts,
Right. There's a lot
Um,
to it. All those ologies. I mean, right. I mean, my resonation with Leos and Tauruses. I've got so many in my family. There's several dozen of them of Tauruses on my mom's side, and girls I've been involved with, whether it was professionally or personally, and all the male Leos on my dad's side and friends we have. So there's a lot to it. And I think that as we go more, we're starting to see people that are into those particular fields really a lot sharper about the knowledge, right? They're a lot more discerning.
right,
They're a lot more, they're not as vague. I mean, you hear a horoscope back in the day and it just sounded like whatever. I mean, it could fit anything. I could make it fit any fucking thing. Every single goddamn one of the 12 signs they'd run through about what was going to go happen for them
right.
that week or that day. And because when I was a little kid, every morning on the radio, there'd be a lady on our local radio station that would read through them for that day,
Wow.
specific day. I don't know what it was all about, but
Wow.
they did that. But every day, it was, I don't know, 20 minutes, half hour. And I could take each one of
Wow.
those, but especially mine, the Leo, I could really, and I didn't know if it was because my mind was already attuned. Okay, well, I'm a Leo. Boy, this must be. Is it going to really resonate with me? And so maybe I would latch on to one thing that she said and be like, "Wow, yeah." And the others that didn't about that, I'd be like, "Oh, well, that could be because of this and that and whatever." Right now, it's a lot more. It's a lot clearer. It's not as vague when you hear people that really know what they're talking about with it.
Yes. And it's shifting too with this new the Aquarian age, the energy of the
Mhm.
signs is also shifting as well, which is kind of mind blowing, but yeah, that's happening too. Um yeah, the only thing I've got left is da, da, da. Yeah, just this last statement. Well, one of the things that they poured through me, and I think I told you this one earlier, but it's
Let's
just about balance is about consciousness, which is grounded in an open and receptive heart, which then opens the door for the mind, and then the
hmm
body walks in the physical now from this place because the heart energy is what heals the mother, which is for me the earth, and all balance with the mind, and it's what creates and walks you in the present moment. The conversation of love, concern, and care, that's the heart. Um, and you and I had this conversation. Yeah, I don't know. When we talked
What?
about the crown not connected
Yeah,
to the heart.
exactly. The crown state. Yeah, instead of being in your heart, focusing out of the crown, and you can only get so far. And I'd mentioned to you, it's like that with technology. You can have all the brains in the world, but you're
Right,
going to only get so far with it without the consciousness, right? That conversation.
right, right. The thing I've said in other podcasts, what I've been given within what resonates very deeply is that consciousness only rises so high unless compassion is engaged, which for me is the heart. Consciousness, yes, you can have a high consciousness up to a limit, but
hmm
there's a ceiling on it if it doesn't engage compassion, if it doesn't engage the heart, because the heart is the multidimensional portal that that is us. Frankly,
Yeah,
that is God.
absolutely.
To me, what I receive, the divine speaking through us. But you can have like what I'm getting is you can have like a lit crown, but it doesn't have to be connected to the heart necessarily. And that's the place where the soul is like they're connected, but then they're not
hmm
connected. They're not connected here. So the creations that they have are astral, is what I'm getting, and they don't really go above the astral level. I think that's what I'm
Right.
getting. Does
That's
that
right.
make sense,
Right.
Larry? Yeah,
Yeah,
those
exactly.
creations
They're
are they're not
yeah.
balanced. Those creations are not balanced. That
Nope.
state is not balanced.
Nope.
You have to engage the mind, the heart, the whole body in the conversation.
Absolutely.
It's not just the mind. And then that is what brings through balance because the whole thing is then included when you include the heart. That's what I'm given.
A constant
Larry?
back and forth between the two, right? A constant back and forth
Back and
between
forth.
the two rooms, right? I always tell people, this is what was my big words of wisdom. I would tell people, okay, so you got this big issue. Start it in your heart, run it through your heart, then run it up to your head for a little bit of technical thought on it, but then run it back down to your heart center for the final decision. You know,
Right.
get those balances. Still come back through your heart, but take a look at it from both perspectives, right? But then ultimately go back to your heart. Consult your brain a little bit, but then, just to kind of get some of the specifics or whatever, but then go back to your heart and make that decision.
Sure.
Heart
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
head,
yeah,
back
yeah,
to the
yeah.
heart.
That's the first time
Absolutely.
I had been given that information today. I knew it, but it came through me
Mhm.
earlier. And I was like, yeah, because this is the age when the people are going to be stepping forward that I'm hearing they appear to be spiritual leaders, but they're all cerebral and they're not. And you'll know when they haven't done that inner work because they're quick to anger, and they're not happy with people stepping outside of the bounds of what their dogma is
It's a
what
dead
I'm
giveaway.
hearing.
It's a dead giveaway.
Because
It's a dead
anybody
giveaway.
that is here, um,
Hmm.
how do I say this? And this anybody here that's here to be a true teacher, here to be what they are and offer
Hmm.
that to others, there's an
Yeah.
openness. You're not concerned about, you just are what you are, and people can project all kinds of crap onto you what they want, but that's their stuff. You're just open for them to receive. And the other the but when somebody is stepping forward and they haven't done that work, I'm hearing the full circle. They're not in the full circle is what I'm hearing. They're stepping forward, they're operating, they've got a lit crown, but they haven't opened their heart center.
And then,
They are
yeah.
powerful. They're powerful beings. However, that does not mean they're compassionate beings. And that does not mean that their intentions are compassionate either.
Absolutely.
They're selfish. Those are selfish. I
A
don't know
lot
why
of
this
times
wants
the
to
two
come
don't
through today,
coincide.
but
Yeah.
this wants to
Yeah.
come through right now. They're selfish beings, and they do exist, and they will step forward. But the reason you'll know the others and not you'll know what is true is because, well, one I'm getting is that you yourself will be, as you engage in your heart, you will be
Hmm.
drawn to those that are engaged in theirs.
Yeah.
If you're seeking answers and you haven't begun to have that conversation within yourself to give yourself space and validity and worth in your own life,
Yeah.
um, you can be drawn to those that haven't done the same. And so be very clear what your mirrors are, because they're your
Yeah.
mirrors for a reason.
Don't
That's what I'm
basically what
getting.
you're saying is don't let somebody else direct those mirrors for you and angle those mirrors for you, right? I mean,
They're
because
your own. Yeah.
because that's what could end up happening, right? And that's not to say that those leaders like that won't they'll be really like pushovers and they won't hesitate to tell somebody to fuck off if needed. It's just that it won't be from a passive aggressive kind of a standpoint of a
No.
you could tell their anger, there's some jealousy, and that somebody else might have be looking into another way as well. They get caught up, they get so caught up in
Anger.
the structure, right? And then they get so hung up on the structure of a situation that they lose sight of what the actual message they were trying to get across in the first place was. So they're stuck in this structure, right? Everything's becomes more about the structure and the mundaneness of it, and in a time crunch, and which some of that stuff is
Control.
important to a point, but they're more caught up in that. Like when we talked about the school systems that time, a
They
few
have
weeks
to
back.
maintain control is what
Yeah,
I'm getting.
they have to
Yeah,
make
they
what?
exist. Yeah, they exist in that yeah, that channel of control is what I'm hearing. Not sure
Yeah.
why I went off on that tangent, but
No, it's
there it
fine.
is.
It was necessary. No, it was necessary. Right, right. No, it was necessary. But there's a control thing, and that's something I really have never. I don't know, man. Maybe I have, and something else, but I really don't resonate with that. I mean, the wanting to. Why wouldn't you want to see somebody do the best that they're going to be able to do, whether you have any involvement in that at all, period, going forward, or you have a lot of involvement, right? Why do you want to
Right?
control and be a part of that? And I guess to simplify it, it could be maybe it's financial reasons, But then again, that wouldn't just be it either, because if that were it, you'd recognize it and understand that it's that. And then if you recognize and understand that it's that, and you're still, you haven't adjusted your mentality at least a little bit, then, there's a problem, right? And it takes a humble person to pull themselves out of a situation and say, look, I've got to do more inner work myself before I can be given guidance, or before I can, I got to
Beautiful,
be a little
Larry.
bit more responsible about
Yes,
what they're right. And it can happen to the best of us, right? I mean, it can happen to anybody.
yes.
We're all the best of us,
Yeah,
but it can happen to anybody, man. I
and
mean, really, I've seen it.
very much. And humility is that place where you release the reins. You
Hmm.
completely release the reins, and you allow you allow yourself to be leveled. That's what I'm hearing. You allow
Yeah,
yourself to learn. You allow yourself to expand and to be equal with all.
right.
Um, Instead of control, which is a place where the structures, just like you're talking about, the structures. Control is about fixed structures, fixed patterns, fixed structures, designed and intended outcomes. Um,
Hmm.
doesn't
Hmm.
deviate from that space, and
Yeah,
and
exactly. Too much structure to it. Too much structure. Okay, well, it's got to be done in this amount of time. Well, this amount of time's got to produce that amount of
right,
time. So we get caught in a system where we're more focused on that than the actual issue. And you see it in every walk of life, every kind of, I don't know, any kind of institution, right? Right. And it's another humbling thing to come to too, like you just mentioned. The giving up control, with surrendering a little bit, but it's usually, and especially when you're the person who's been preaching that kind of a dogma to people, right? So,
right.
then it becomes time for you to figure out whether you actually believe that yourself, right? And I
Yeah,
could imagine that it would be a real humbling kind of, sock in the gut feeling to come to that, right? But then, if you do, you pick yourself up off the ground and move forward with it, right? But it's got to be a humbling
flexibility.
feeling.
Yeah, the flexibility. Here's what I'm getting right now. The flexibility is required, and that is a sign of when you are moving into balance, because you are able to
Yeah,
be flexible even in those
sure.
spaces that, those spaces that humble you, those spaces
Mhm.
that if you're in a fixed space and you refuse to, that's a place where you're trying to control, and that's part of the human condition. We move out of, we learn that control. I've said this other podcast, but to me, control is an illusion and control is a lie. The only one that controls everything is creator. We direct our streams of light, the extremes of existence that we are, but that control is like, it's part of the I'm hearing the buy-in of the illusion,
Yeah,
this and then this. And what happens is that the more that you are deeper into the internal conversation that you are, and you seek your balance from
right.
within yourself more, despite anything external, the more ability you have to be able to pivot in a moment and be flexible
Absolutely.
to anything. Because it's like, what I heard a minute ago, I wish I'd written it down. It was something like organic flexibility.
Yeah,
Organic,
absolutely.
it just happens. It's
Yeah, and I'm not
it's
saying it's
part of
easy,
it.
man. I'm not saying it's easy. When you're in a position maybe like that and you have
No,
all
it's
these
not.
other deadlines you've got to meet and shit, then it becomes a
Yeah.
problem with, okay, you want to do what's right and go that route, but then, man, you've got all these other fucking obligations, that have to do with
Right.
all kinds of other things that revolve around normal 3D life that
Right.
it wouldn't be always easy to do, right? But then
No,
again, you don't have to
not.
do it all. You don't have to fix everything overnight either, though. You know what I mean?
No.
You don't have to fix everything overnight either. So it's kind of one of those. It's one of those things. But there's so more into the message that instead of assisting other people and making them realize their own power, you get stuck in wanting them to hear your message, right? And that it becomes easier. And the more people let you have that power, though, the more people that let you have that power too, it becomes easier to do. Right. So it's a two-way street. I mean, I always make the joke, you can only resist somebody begging you so long to fuck them over. Please, 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 please. You know what I mean? You can so it's
Please, please,
really
please.
yeah, please do. It's really a two-way street, right? And some people are at that stage that you might deal with when you're in that kind of realm. You might deal with it. Really want somebody to kind of control things for them to kind of they want that controlling, right? And then some people I look at like it control. They like to control things. I look at them like they're just. I feel for them because I know that they're just insecure and a lot of shit's went wrong with them, and you're just insecure and they just want to be able to keep it together. And then some people I see that are controlling and they're just motherfuckers, right? But then again, I have to stop, take a step back and realizing, okay, well, that just means that they're at different levels of this thing, right?
Yes.
Right, they're at
Yes.
different levels of where they're at, right? Just because one of them still might be stuck in motherfuckerville, and the other one is just still stuck in, they've been hurtville too many times, right? I know those cities are
Yes.
suburbs of one big city that we call 3D life, but so to speak. Don't you love my analogies? Carolyn loves them all the time. Yeah, but anyway,
I'm like, I'm reviewing within myself because I'm
yeah,
sitting here and I'm like, I got this review happening within me. Did we cover, did anything was anything that we said or have said accessible? Is it something
yeah,
that somebody can take and apply it to their experience? Because as
hmm
you talked about 3D life, balance is about, I would say flat out, balance is about living in both realities. It's about living in that
yeah,
internal space, which could be like 5D, and then you got the physical 3D stuff going on, and you 3D. Okay, I'm getting it. Could be 3D or 5D. That's the individual, and
right.
or and
The
you
individual and
learn
the
how to balance
collective.
that too, right? You know,
Yeah. Well, boy, we're getting
because
a crash course in it.
you anchor, because you're the balance ultimately is about you anchoring your grounded truth of what you've learned through all of your work,
Hmm
and the work always continues of what you are at this next
Absolutely.
level, at this next level, at this next level, you know,
Mhm.
and yeah, and then you've got the external mirrors, which over time, as you said, like in the intro statement, those mirrors can be helpful or they could be irrelevant, and that
Mhm.
depends on where you are. And I'm saying this because the true point of the of balance that I'm getting is it's within self. It's that beginning conversation. It's engaging those places
Mhm.
that and those thoughts and everything that trigger you. That person that says that thing that pissed you off, and then
Mhm.
they pissed you off. So, at one level you could say, well, they did it, but the truth is something within you was triggered that allowed that to happen. And that's where you use that experience to be like, oh,
Mhm.
what was that was triggered? Why did
Mhm.
I react that way? What happened there? And then you get to like
Mhm.
see patterns, you know? Um, I'm feeling within me, this could go on, but I feel like
I think
we've offered.
we've covered a lot of it. There's other things I'd like to say that these are things that can be touched on in another show. You know what I mean? Because we've got plenty of material for other things that, and as you know, all our shows coincide. They really just it's like one theme that just flows and flows and flows. Yeah. And next week
Right.
we've got a great topic for next week. I'll keep everybody in suspense unless Carolyn, you feel I'll leave that here. I'm going to do something. I don't want to have any control. So Carolyn, I'm going to let you decide whether or not you want to tell people what we're going to talk about next week or
Nah,
keep them suspense. Nah.
no, I like I mean, we came up with that and that'll work, but my feeling also is, like we were talking before, allow flexibility,
That's
because,
absolutely. I like
you
it.
know,
This is
all that
amazing. This is amazing.
is right now and here, and, tomorrow could bring something very different,
Yeah.
right? So,
Oh God,
you know,
totally. In the team we're in, I mean, really, it could change a few times before we get there, right?
very much,
Yeah, very much
but
so.
it is something that I'm thinking of for sure, but I feel like next week, in the energy of right now, next week could be next year. That's what I'm getting right now.
So it's like, or it could be the next breath. Yes, that too. So yeah, I hear you, Larry. That's where I am with that. You there? Oh, it froze. It froze. Or maybe I froze. No, he froze. Okay. So I think we are near the end of the podcast and Larry froze. He looks like this. Um, are you there, Larry? I hope everybody got what will
Oh,
serve them to the
there.
highest. Yes.
My phone died because I didn't have the charger, and that I had one of these other
I'm so
6
mad.
things going that were on. Okay, we didn't go on Facebook Live. That was a no-go today.
You were
What
frozen
part?
like this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got the charger in it now, but yeah, I think that we'll let this process and sink in, and just for the simple fact of covering our ass in case something really comes up that needs to come to the forefront. I know I've got
Yes.
plenty of other things that I could talk about. I did have something I wanted to rant on, but I'm going to really, you know what, Karen, this is going to be a good exercise for me because I'm going to save it, and maybe we'll talk about it off air or something a little bit. It has to do with this commercial I keep seeing about reading or finding out who's texting your boyfriend or some shit. It's some drama bullshit that people are wanting to know. Oh, who's he been texting? Well, then fuck, dude. If you have to ask that, get the fuck out of the relationship. But anyway, okay, enough of that.
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to say about that, I heard very clearly, is that's about engaging with the old grid. I heard that
Yo,
clear as
big
day.
time. Perfect example. Okay, yeah.
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 Okay. Are we ready? Are we doing the whole
We're
thing?
ready, man. We're ready. Carolyn&Larry Roberts in San Antonio, Texas. Hey, tell everybody where they can find you in the wonderful, wonderful dang world of social media. Where can they find Carolyn&Larry Roberts? Where could she be?
So on Facebook, I'm Carolyn&Larry Roberts. That's my personal page. My mission business page is Allowing the Light. And my mission, and I'm just going to, maybe there's another way I could say this, but I'm just going to be a broken record because
Do it. Yeah.
maybe it
Okay.
needs to be. Maybe it needs to be. So my mission is to be a reawakener of the conversation of the heart. And for me, this is the voice of the soul, which is the conversation between the sacred mind, the sacred heart in the body vehicle. And it's about all of them coming into play and all of them having a voice, the mind, the heart, and the body, and that the heart in its proper alignment put into that conversation.
Yep.
I'm hearing within me it's the first one because it's the one for me that determines consciousness. And I'm going to give the visual. I'm going to give this analogy real quick because I don't know how long we've been on. My thing went off and back on some time ago.
Mine
So
too. So 155
yeah,
minutes. So go ahead.
it's like for me, consciousness is about your awareness and being present in the present moment. And the
Yep.
analogy that my guides have given me a while ago was they gave me an analogy of a physical camera. The picture you're looking at, this is the sacred mind. And then you've got the light that you'll be able to view this, and that light, that aperture of light that allows in that viewing.
Yeah.
That's the sacred heart, your ability to interpret what you're seeing from a higher level of perspective. And then the camera itself is the physical body vehicle. And so for me,
Beautiful.
the engagement of the sacred heart in the conversation is vital and is what increases and raises consciousness as it engages with the sacred mind in conversation. Okay, next thing, Instagram. Is on Instagram, my page is allowing underscore the underscore light, and it's all lowercase. My YouTube channel is allowing the light, and then my old YouTube channel is Carolyn&Larry Roberts. My Etsy store, which I checked on, you can find me, is allowing the light. Is allowing the light, and the A is uppercase, allowing the light, and I'm right there. And
Well, that's
I
exciting.
sell.
This was a big deal. This was a goddamn big deal because it used to be you'd have to go through all that shit to find it. And I'm like, God damn, Carolyn, you draw a map.
Thank you, Etsy. So it's like, there I am. I sell my light language infused blessing pics, which are my photography, and there are words that are with them. They're not on those cards. These are blank cards, but I'm working on that. And then the last thing I'm going to say is that I offer soul sessions, either Zoom or if you're physically here in person or on the phone. And that's basically where I work with the conversation of the heart with you, and I connect with what many call the Akash. Within me, it's called the library of the heart. And my concern in those conversations is less about who you were and more about how you felt and those energies, because that's an energetic stamp.
Absolutely.
And the other thing I'll say is in those sessions, I also allow higher self and what you want to balance and to bring through what needs to come through. What else? I feel like we covered the topic as much as we can in this moment, and I'm grateful for everybody's time and attention. And I hope that there was a flow to this, because it was hard to tell because we went in and out.
There wasn't, but we're allowed a day off for these energies. We're allowed a day off, and it got the job done. We're not, we're not looking to replace George Borey on Coast to Coast or anything. Yeah, we're not perfect.
Yeah.
We're not. And you did not repeat yourself. It wasn't a broken record. I kept waiting all show long for you to say reawaken or reawaken the conversation.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Carolyn's catchphrase. Yeah, we're gonna hang it above our computer next time because it's beautiful and it really is special. Yeah.
Thank you, Larry. My mission
absolutely.
is to be a reawakener, not an awakener, because to me, we aren't awakening in truth. We are reawakening. Our souls are actually eternal. And we aren't, to me, what I receive, we're not awakening. We've been here before. We are reawakening to the truth of what we truly are. And my mission is as a reawakener of the conversation of the heart. Yeah. Thank you, Larry, and thank you, everybody. Go for it, Larry.
Just when I started getting into a trance listening. Yeah, okay, so I'll make it short and sweet like everyone. There's too many fucking things to tell you. I've got 5 YouTube channels. I'm on every kind of gram, yam, bip, and hop, and hip, and 8, and threads, and dreads, and, blue skies, and all kinds of shit. Every one of them except SunCloud that I know of, I'm on. Okay, and they're usually just the Larry Locken channel. Of course, some of them I have cutesy little secondary names with. But if you want to find out how you can, if you want a list of those, if anybody does, which nobody will, but if you were bored and wanted to find out, go to Facebook and go to Rockin' Larry Locken social media outlets. It's not Rockin' with an I. That's ROCKEN, because my last name is LOCKEN. ROCKEN, LOCKEN. Yeah, Rockin' Locken. Social media outlets. You can also find the same page under its secondary name, the Larry Locken Network. Okay, that's all you got to do, and it'll tell you everything I've ever been involved in, social media wise, and everything, YouTube, all that other shit I mentioned, right? Facebook, you name it, I'm there, right? If you create another one, I'll come on it too. Hey, what the hell? The more the merrier, right? I need to stop another project and then start another one, and then stop that one before it's done and start another one. So, if I have to finish one, then I know we're all in a problem. We're all in a pickle if I'm going to have to actually buckle down and finish one of those. So I need another one. So that's always good. And that's about it, Carolyn. Was there anything else you wanted to enlighten the entire, world with besides that? Well, and if that being said, I am your host, Rockin' Larry Locken. For my co-host, Carolyn&Larry, the lovely Carolyn&Larry Roberts in San Antonio. Well, she's just outside of San Antonio, Texas, but in the suburban area. So these live sessions with her, if you live in the San Antonio suburban area, you can book Carolyn live. Otherwise, they're on, Zoom, right? Okay, so, I do some blue healing a little bit sometimes on the side, but, you can approach me about that if you're interested in that. It's the only way that I'm a master in. The rest of them, I haven't done yet, so I only know what I know. And, I leave it to the professionals. Like Carolyn, there's about 3 others too. There's only about 4 total. I have 4 or 5 total I would recommend for anything like this out of the thousands I've met, and I've met a ton of them. But the only ones I would say, yeah, whatever. I don't, it's not my business what they charge, but yet if you want to know who they are, I'm not going to say them here, but you can contact me on Facebook or in private, and I'll tell you who the list of them is. I have no problem telling that. I just don't want to go through it right now. Okay, because we've been on way too fucking long, and that's they have their format, we have ours, but yeah, Carolyn's one of the fabulous 5 or fantastic 4, whatever, that I would out of thousands recommend. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to give everybody a big cosmic dating game kiss, and here's to a smoother week now. Okay, goodbye to X. Yeah, that was X. Goodbye to X. All my exes live in Texas. Yeah, yeah. All my
Talk
exes
to you.
ought to move to Texas. Okay, yeah, yeah. I'll talk. Yeah, I'll talk to you in just a few minutes. Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, girl.
Bye.
All right, we're out. Peace. Okay, bye. Instagram. Come on, all you Instagram people, get on TikTok. And yeah.